we are diving into how to do cockpit glass colors. Now, I've done a few different styles, from turquoise to teals to my really favorite green, and I used to do this really cool fluorescent neon color, but today we're looking at the Battlemaster, and most importantly, that kind of domed shaped glass. So without further ado, let's dive into this. Now, I should preface, you could do any color with this, but I'm starting with dark blue from mine from Model Color, and I'm just going to carefully cover this with 2 coats because the first coat over white looked kind of like this pale blue, but I want that darkness from the blue over that white. Then I'm going to start with mixing 50-50 with that dark blue and black to start with the shading on the left side. And I'm treating this a little bit like a glaze and partially kind of like a layer, but I don't want to put too much on it. I just want it to tint the side on the left, but I will have to keep blending these things to get that transition correct. Now I'm going to use a dark blue and treat this like a wet blend. And I'm just going to try kind of like, it's not stippling, but you're just kind of feathering and trying to blend both colors while they're both still wet. Wet blending works here because it creates a little bit of that transition, the fade. I will continue doing different wet blends on this and just trying to create that transition from the dark to the lighter to the right. And wet blends or also feathering would work here, but I'm using pretty much wet blends here, just trying to create that transition from the darker to the blue. Now I'm going right back to that black and just glazing it to the back left, not the back left, the side left of the cockpit glass to create that darkness of it again, and just trying to create that dark shade to the left. And while it's still wet, I just want to wet blend it one more time just to try to get that transition looking good, because these colors are dark in contrast, but hey, I like the way this is looking. So now we have to start highlighting and working on the brighter colors on the right side. I am going to do 50-50 of this Andrea blue and dark blue, both from Model Color. And I'm going to start working on the right side of the cockpit. And this is kind of like 20, no, I'd say like 15% of the cockpit glass, because I still want that blue there, but I want to start building up those lighter colors on the right side. And while they're wet, I'm just going to use that dark blue again and just try to wet blend the colors to create a good transition. Now I'm jumping straight to the Andrea blue and putting it on the farthest of the right side of the cockpit glass just to create that kind of like, I guess it's kind of a glow on the right, but all cockpits kind of have that bright color to the right. Um, but I also want to start putting them on the tops and the bottoms of the cockpit glass to create more glowing around the edges. Next, I wanted to create that transition from the lighter and blend it. And this time I'm kind of doing a little bit of feathering because the previous paint already dried. So I can't wet blend. So I'm just trying to bump up the contrast of that. And I was going to go with a turquoise or a, what was it? It was the gauze blaster blue, but I opted not. And I just kept using the Andreas blue because I didn't want to go too bright. In Granted, you could go brighter with this, but I just chose to kind of keep it more simple because, simple and at least on the left side, the blue is really standing out. Next, I'm going to use the dark blue and Andreas blue and create a little bit of a glaze here. I want to do this top glare on the right side of the cockpit glass. And I'm just going to almost treat this like a layer I mean, I guess it's in between a glaze and a layer. Usually when layering, you do transparent um, layers over one another. So this kind of looks like that. And then I used this straight Andreas blue after doing a couple layers of the previous color to create a little bit of that brightness there on the cockpit glass. Next, I'm going straight with Andrea blue because I want to do a little bit of an edge highlight. Not really, but it's like a small line. And while I'm at it, why not bump up those lines on the edges one more time? Next, I'm going to do 50-50 with the Andrea blue and the off-white. And I'm going to hit this probably like 60% of the line. And finally, after that, I'm going to use just the off-white and do probably like 10% of the line just to show kind of like that glare blasting off of it, just so it can stand out a little bit more. And you could do that wider, I would assume, but yeah. Now, my video messed up here. I apologize. I was gonna do a star, so all you missed was doing an X with a dot. But I'm going to continue with one more small line in the center, kind of like that spark of a glare. I could have done just the dots, but I want to do something a little bit different. Now, I want it to look more blue, so I'm going to jump into the sponge and use the Andrea blue very, very, very lightly and do it just right over that star blast kind of look. Just a few dabs, just to kind of change the color of it just a little bit. This reminds me of kind of how I did that galaxy camo on that jet fighter I did a long time ago. And I'm going to use nuclear white from Green Stuff World, which is just any bright white right in the center of the star to bring out that contrast. And this is it. I hope you really enjoyed this. I hope this sparks inspiration to do something a little bit different with cockpit glasses. With that, and also I wanted to share what the people in the Discord community are working on this week. This is just a nice, cool assortment, what everyone is working on who's connected. If you want to join the Discord, look at the link. And with that, have a fantastic week and see you next time.